All right, another learn day. Not Monday, not Tuesday. It's learn day. All right, guys, we need to learn stuff today, and today we are gonna learn about animation. Cool. So I'm just gonna wait a few minutes if anyone else plugs in. All right, animation. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the very basics of animation in Houdini. This is very simple. It's not that hard, but there's some things you should know in Houdini, how to do to animate. I may want to start from the very simple stuff. All right, so let's start by animating just a simple object. So let's create a sphere. Sphere. So we have a sphere, right? We want to move it. We start moving it like this. So how do we keyframe that attribute? Well, you can see when I move it, this attribute here is changing. So that's the attribute I want to be keyframing, right? If I start all the way here, to set a keyframe, there's a few things. You could just right click here and there's a bunch of options here. And you can press this key, but that's actually just for auto keying. So I guess before I tell you how to set a key, just explore what the tools we have here for the simplest kind of a key. We have the timeline, of course, which goes by default from 1 to 240. And we have the viewport here, which is where we're gonna see the result. And we have the parameters that we want to animate here. We have the playback options here as well, forward, background, stop, next key, etc. And we have just for animation with just the auto key button, which is this one, and the real-time toggle. Click that, you can see it's playing real time. If you don't click that, it's just gonna play as fast as it can. All right. I guess the other thing is to set the range here. You set it in some other apps. You just type here the range, but you can't do it that in Houdini. You have to click this button here, Global Animation Properties, and here's your your frames per second, start, and if you want, let's say 120, apply that. There we go. That's how you set your range here. Your global range. If you want to play just an area, you use these handles at the bottom, or you can set numbers in these two areas there. These two number boxes there. This is the current frame you're on. This is to go forward and backwards with keyframes. And that's about it for the simple stuff, all right? So if we want to animate the exposition, we can just say, all right, here, and then at frame 2048, I want to be here, etc. So let's go first, frame 1. And we can set up a keyframe either for the single parameter or the whole row. We can click on the name here, right click, go to channels and keyframes, and you see set keyframe is there. But the most important part here is you can press Alt and left mouse button, which is what I use. And this works as well for single channels. If you just want to keyframe this channel, let's see, if I just Alt and click on that channel, you can see I set a keyframe for the 3 three values. There's it's just green to show that there is a keyframe on that value and at that keyframe. Now if I go to 48 and move it forward, you can see this changes. This is now a little bit more pale, and you are not on a keyframe, but there's a keyframe somewhere. But this has a keyframe and has changed, so it means that this changed right now. So if I don't add a keyframe there, I'm gonna lose it. You know, if I move the timeline, I only have a keyframe here, so it's going there. If I just go again, 48, move it forward, and alt click or middle click, right click, go to channels and commit change. Now I have a keyframe there. You can see it's green now. Now if I move this, now I have animation. You can see it's moving back and forward, which is pretty cool. Now if I'm not gonna use these values, I could just delete those keyframes. Or if I say I want to move it up at the middle of this trajectory, of this path, I can see that now Y changed. So I can commit that by clicking on that. You can see now I have this. Since there's no keyframe at Y in this final keyframe, it's just staying at that position. Going up and staying there because we didn't have a keyframe at the end here for Y. We want this to go down. You can put 0 here and commit that change again. And then we have this going up and it's going down. All right, so what if I want to delete these keyframes? I don't want this animation anymore. Just want to delete them. All right, I can just right click on this. Try to see if there's some option here in the channels of keyframes. You can see there's a few options here. You can say remove keyframe and do that, but what that did is just remove the keyframe from that single frame that you were on. If you want to delete everything, let's just undo that. If you want to delete everything at once, you can just go right click and say delete channels, or Control Shift left click will delete everything, and you don't have any animation in that channels on those channels anymore. All right, now if we do the same thing, but now we use auto keyframe, what's gonna happen is that I'm gonna move this and there's no keyframes. You can see I'm not setting any keyframes, even when I'm having auto keyframe on. And what you need to know is that you need to have at least one key or auto key to start triggering. So if I have one key there, let me just do for the 3 channels. Now if I move it to 48 and move forward, now you can see there's a keyframe already there. Since I already have one keyframe, which means, all right, I want you to do auto key stuff as soon as I move my object. And if I go here, move it back and up, now there's another keyframe there. You can see the channel is already keyframe and I can move it. Again, I didn't have a keyframe here for 0, so it's only gonna keyframe the channels that have keyframes. All right, so there you go. It's kind of the same animation. It was a little bit faster to do, but be careful with auto keyframes because sometimes you are doing something and you move an object and then you just move something that you shouldn't supposed to be doing, like maybe a camera or something like that. Maybe I move this object here and I forgot that the animation was on and now I just destroy that. So be aware whenever you have auto key on, because it might destroy whatever you're doing. All right, so let me see, let me animate this up. This is the simplest thing, right? Again, you can animate all sorts of parameters. Now let's create something that is more visual, like this guy, Roberto. Hi, Roberto. Let's call him Roberto. Roberto, it's my friend. So if I want to animate rotation, again, it's the same thing. Go back to the first frame. You can animate any of these channels that are here. If it's lit, it's animatable. and let's say I want to animate just the Y animation, the Y rotation. Let's put it 148, and I want to rotate, let's say 360 degrees. Keyframe that again, and now he's just turning like that, right? It's pretty cool. So again, whatever channel you want to animate here, you can just animate the uniform scale, like it's appearing. That's the simplest thing, right? Any object, you can just animate it using this. Even you can animate even displaying the object, like here, if I turn it on and off. I animate this a lot for objects that I don't want to be rendering when they're maybe off camera or something, and or calculating. And that's about it for simple stuff. Let's start digging a little bit more. So, and for that, let me just delete these channels. Now we're gonna go inside Roberto, and now we can animate also at this level. So this is the geometry level, and we can put a transform here, which is basically what we have here. But this is at object level, and this is at geometry level. So at geometry level, we can do the same thing. We can animate this guy in any sorts of ways, right? What you need to understand here is we are animating the components here. Let's say we are moving the point positions. And here we are animating the container, which contains everything, right? It might be weird to understand, but it's very simple. So what we can do here inside, let's say we want to animate Roberto again. Let's put it 90 degrees on this direction. Let's move it here. Animate X. Oh, I don't want it to do that. Delete that. I want to go to the first frame. Animate that channel. 48. Move it here. And maybe now animate the rotation. And 180. Nope, it wasn't 180. 270. Like that. And now I have an animation that it's just going from side to side. Right? So I have this animation at the component level. If I go up, I can still move this object here. I don't have keyframes here. You can see if I go maybe at frame 1, I wanna pull this up and animate that. Then at 48, I wanna go back to 0. Now I have this kind of animation. And one, it's animating the container, and the other one is animating the components here. See, at component level, we have just that. You could kind of think about these like levels. I mean, layers. This could be animation layers if you want to. All right, so that's. Let me just remove this animation here. Put this back to 0. And my grid, it's in the wrong place. All right, so here I have this animation, right? So going further with this kind of a layers thing, we could actually layer on top of this another transform. And we're just saying, whatever you're doing here, I'm just gonna rotate this object in, let's say, C as well. So now this is happening. So now I have two levels of animation here. right? So I created this transform fellow here. I have this, and then on top of that, I am adding this. You can see both representations there. I've seen as a template the node before. If you don't want this, you can just leave this, and that's what's happening only at this level there. Which is pretty cool. I use this a lot as well. Just animate something first, and then you can even go back. Like if I want him to be rotating all the time in X before I even do all this stuff, I can go back here and say, all right, I want him to be rotating like this all the time. So let's just put one keyframe there, 360 here, and he's doing that. So when that happens, now he's rotating while he goes back and forward. Now, another rotation on top of that rotation does that. That's pretty complex animation to do with just one thing. All right. So that's just like layering animation on top of one on top of each other, which is pretty cool. Something that you can do in a few applications, and some applications sell that as a huge feature. Then he has that out of the box. All right, of course you can animate on top of this scale and everything else, you know, it's just simple stuff. All right, so now we are going to start doing, let me just delete a few of these guys so we don't have so much crazy motion. We have this guy, it's moving from here to here, and I'm gonna move it up at in the middle, but I didn't have any keyframes, so I'm gonna have to add those first. 0, just wanted to go up and down to illustrate a point here. So it's going up, point is jumping, right? Jumping, really cool. All right, so now I have that animation. You will, if you know about animation, you're saying, so where's my graph editor? And your graph editor is here in Windows. You can see there is did I just lied? Yes, it's not here. All right. I don't know why it's not here. Oh yeah, it is. Animation editor is here. So this is the animation editor. But why there's nothing there? Where's my keyframes? Where are my channels? Where is everything? Select your node. There you go. Crisis is over. All right, so this is pretty simple to do. If you know your graph editor, you have your channels here. You have rotation, translation, and translation Y, which are the 3 channels that are being animated here. You can see if I select translate Y, I have this curve that represents exactly what's happening. This is time and this is value. And if you select the keyframe, just middle click, move this control, or I mean the mouse wheel, you can zoom out, zoom in, and move it like this. If you press space G, you can just frame the selected curve here. If I select another curve, space G, I'm gonna frame that. If I click this, space G, select that. Let's go back to the translate Y. You can see if I select the keyframe, I get the value here is 0, and the time is 1, of course, right? Here, if I select the value, it's 1.8. I can change it here. You can see it gives me a phantom curve that's saying, all right, you just changed this value. Are you happy with that? Yeah, sure. I'm happy with that. That's just the previous value. I'm okay. And that you can also just grab it. And there's something really cool that I like about Houdini. That it's very hard to just move keyframes all over the place like this. I'm trying to move it over here, and some people are asking me like, why can I move my keyframes? I'm trying to move it forward or backwards. Well, there's 2 components of a keyframe here in Houdini. You you have the little dot here or diamond in the center. If you select that, you're gonna move the value. You're gonna set the value there. If there, you can see there's a little line. You can see when you hover over it or mouse over it, you can see there's the time or the frame you're on. And if you drag that line, that's your frame. So this is pretty cool because if you just want to move the frame, you just grab that. If you don't want to ever move your frame but just change the value, you can just select the center, which is pretty cool. You also just have your regular handles to tweak your in and out points of your curve here. You can grab this, move the whole thing. Did I double click on that? Yeah. Double clicking selects the whole curve. And if I just want to move that, again, double clicking, you can offset the whole value. You can drag here, again, same thing. And if I go to the translate X, you can see I'm in the translate X here. Very simple. If you want to change the curve, the tangents of the curve, like this is smooth out and smooth in. If you want to change that, you have some buttons here. Make it linear. You can see now it's linear. Yeah, and I have two kind of different, so I don't have to change the whole curve to one set of keyframes of function. I can just change one part or the whole thing if I just select everything by double clicking. Now I have to select the actual segments here. You can see now it's linear and it's moving up and down with with those tangents now. And you can still make this round if you choose to. You can see this is still it's a curve, but it's just the tangents, or the slopes were just zeroed out, or it's just pointing to the previous and next keyframe to give you that linear curve there. But you could just make your curve as you want. You can see we can have linear start, but then something else at the end here. All right, so I guess this is pretty simple. It's regular curve editor. If I want to put everything to constant keyframes, which is just change into your reach that keyframe. Nothing is changing until you reach that keyframe. Again, here, look, you can see it here. It's just changing at that keyframe, and this will be kind of something like stop motion or something like that. If I want to go back to VCR, or you see in and out, it's out, it's in, it's out, and then what you need. Here's all the functions for that. It's pretty simple. It's not very hard. You can also just have no handles here. You set this to tangent handles to cubic, which is just gonna be something like this. Just the curves will respond, kind of like having the handles like attached. What I do, like it's just if I move this will move. I have this now. It's broken handles. So you can control each side separately. We'll click here. You're gonna smooth that, and you can still break it. But if you merge them, now they are not separate. They follow the curvature. All right, so that it's for the what else can I say here? It's pretty simple. Animation editor. There's some things. If you want to just say, I just want to see this translation in the curve editor, you can right click here, say channels and keyframes, and say scope parameters, or I just always use shift left mouse or shift middle clicks. If I just shift and left click, can see I see all the parameters that are animated there, but I have those two selected, which is just the ones I'm seeing right now. Just seeing X. I was supposed to be seeing this too. Weird. Oh no, don't want to do that. There we go. Now I have all the translate selected. I don't know what happened before. You can see now I have the translate selected, but not the rotation. If I just, what I did there is shift middle click, you can see now I don't see the rotation. The rotation, it's not there. If you don't want to see the rotation, you can just do shift middle click and you're just gonna see that parameter there. Shift middle click, now I only see rotations. Or if I shift middle click here, I'm just gonna see that parameter. Shift middle click on that, shift middle click. I just wanna see whatever I want. If I have that one, and I shift and left click, I'm gonna add to that. So I'm just saying, all right, I just want those two parameters. I'm just gonna check those two curves and you can have that. The other thing is, let's say that I am always interested in the rotation, I can pin it here. And if I click out, it's gonna stay there. If I shift click this is gonna stay there. You can see if I click outside or I select another node that has some other animation, that rotation there, it's gonna stay. So here there is a concept of animation layers, but I'm not gonna get into that. It's pretty simple, but I'm not gonna get into that with this in this webinar. Maybe later. All right, so that's the curve editor, and that's how you animate stuff moving around. And now let's see some other stuff. If anyone has any questions, please let me know. I can answer questions anytime. All right, so another thing you can do with animation, it's, why is it failing there? Something's wrong with that keyframe. I'm gonna delete this guy. You can animate a lot of things. Groups moving. Like, let's say, no, let's stay with this. I don't want to go too in depth today. All right, so let's say I want this guy to be animating all the time in Y, like it's gonna be turning like this. Like I'm gonna make this like a coin in a game that it's rotating all the time. What I can do is I can go to rotate here, and I can just maybe go here and say 360 here. It's gonna take 1 second to rotate, and then I made a mistake here. Now I can see that it's rotating there, but now I want to keep it rotating. What do I do? Well, there's a few things you can do. You could just cycle this, or just copy these frames with shift here in the play bar, and press shift, hold shift, drag, and you can select an area here. I'm selecting those two keyframes. I can right click, and you can see there's a few options here about keyframes. Well, there's a bunch. You can copy those, you can stretch them, cycle paste them. You can copy those keyframes and maybe say, all right, I want to paste them here, maybe. Paste, and what? It's going back, and then it's going back again. So this is not what I want. All right, let me delete those. I could go another 24 frames and rotate him here more. 720 should be. And all right, now this turns twice, but again, I'm gonna have to do one more keyframe, one more keyframe, one more keyframe. So what I could do is keep on doing this, or I could use a very simple expression to rotate this guy. You just go here to the rotation and just use $F. It's just dollar just for a variable. and we're using F, which is the frame number. And now what that's saying is whatever the frame number is, just put it here. You can see right now is 1 because we are at frame 1. If you go to frame 48, it's gonna be 48 because we said whatever value is here, just put it there. That's simple. It's not that hard. So I could do, if I want to be like totally exact, I say, well, at frame 1, I want it to not be rotated. So let me just subtract 1. So instead of 1, I'm getting 0 here. Now if I hit play, now I see he is rotating all the time. But now it's too low. What can I do? Well, let me forget about the -1. I can multiply this. If I say, let's see, I wanted to go for 5 maybe. So now he's going faster. You can see for about, takes about 3 seconds to go 1 full turn. So what if I want that to be faster? Let me go 15 because I want in a second to be the whole turn. So now it's turning and it's gonna keep turning forever. And you can see that's seamless. It just goes and goes. Pretty cool. So yes, you can do that for other channels as well. You can say the translation, let's put $F. But now it's gonna be really fast now because translation is faster. You can see it's going away and it's rotating. So if I wanted to move an X but lower, I can still multiply this but smaller value. So it's moving and it's rotating. And if I just want to control the speed with multiplication here, which is pretty cool. This is really useful. If you want to do like planets, and planets have to be rotating all the time, just put an expression, set your speed with some multiplication, and you are done. And it's gonna be very simple to do. You can do more math thing here, like let's remove this guy. Remove the channels. Let's say for translated and translate up and down. Let's do a sine of frame, and that's very simple stuff. It's going up, and once the sine curve, it's going up down. When it reaches the peak of the sine curve, it goes down. But again, it's not that fast. I can multiply this by 10. Now I multiplied the amplitude of the wave. Whoa, it's going up too much. I don't want that. I want to multiply the frequency. So I'm going to multiply the inside the parentheses here. Now it's going up and down, and it's rotating. And I just made something hovering, and it can hover forever there. Don't matter the length of my animation, it will stay there. Pretty cool. What if I want to offset this? Like I want him to go under the grid. I could just add to this, like 10 is too much, but you can see this is pretty cool. I can middle click and change values here right in my expression. Let's say this is my lowest value. Yeah, there we go. I don't want him to go up and down as much. We can multiply the, remove this, we can multiply the intensity here, 0.5. Not that up, it's not that high now. There we go. All right, that's some simple expressions, but these expressions can take you a lot of places. They're pretty powerful stuff to do. All right, so let's now say that we want to animate different things. Like, let's say that Roberto, I'm gonna remove this animation. And I don't want to do that. Let's say I want another Roberto. Copy him, but not at this level. I'm gonna go here. One Roberto 1. Roberto and Roberto 1. You do something. Let's move this Roberto over here. And let's rotate them both 90 degrees. Oh, that's another thing you can do in Houdini. You can select both objects. Let me just turn this back to select both objects. Select both. Or here. Type 90 here. You can see that works. Doesn't matter how many objects you have. Houdini will let you edit properties of different objects if they match. If it's the same property, you can just do whatever you want. All right, so Roberto 1, it's in the back, and Roberto, the first Roberto, it's here. So let's just move them both back a little bit. And I want to animate the first Roberto here. I'm gonna go frame 1, animate on X, and let's go to frame 72. Move it. Oh, I'm not on X. Sorry, I'm moving on C. Let's delete this keyframe. Oh, no. What's happening? This is X. Oh, this handle was in object space instead of a world space. Sorry. I'm sorry about that. So animate X, go to 72, animate him here, and do that. So I want to animate this guy, but I'm gonna have like, I don't know, maybe 20 Robertos here, and I want them to be following each other. Well, I can just say do the same animation for this guy, but if whenever I change the first Roberto, I'm gonna have to change the other one. So I could just copy this parameter here, just right click on it, copy it, go to the other Roberto. Let's put this guy back so it matches here, the viewport. We can go to this parameter and say paste copied reference. Now the other Roberto, it's in the same place. Actually, if I make him a little bit bigger, you can see the other one, it's just in the same place. It's taking the same exact animation, but I don't want that, right? I want it to be a little bit back. So what I can do here with this expression there, I can just add to this expression or subtract from this or multiply from this expression. I want to multiply this by, let me see, 2. Now he's back there. So now you can see it's going even faster, but what I want is to follow him. So multiplication, it's not working for this. I actually want to subtract maybe 2. Now it's gonna have the same animation, but it's gonna stay behind him. And I'm gonna turn this guy down again. And you can see I have 2 Robertos going along. If I go and do some more modifications to this Roberto, like here, I want it to be faster here, and you can see he's even updating the other one. And here, this one's gonna be over there. Now they follow exactly. Pretty cool. If I have another Roberto, I can put him here and do whatever it is. Now I know what you're thinking, that what if I want to move this all over the place? Let's say I add more keyframes to Roberto to all 3 channels. Go here and put Roberto here. Let me add also rotation, because it should be rotating. And let me rotate this guy like this, move him here, add keyframes to this. So now it's moving like this. And then here, I want to move him here and rotate like this. It's very simple animation. It's going there and it's moving here. All right. So now you can see the other Roberto, it's not doing the same thing, right? But all right, well, I can just copy the parameters and make a reference to that one, do the same for the rotation, and do a reference as well. And yeah, it's in the same place right now. All right. So, but now I can just add an offset here, -2. And yes, you can do that, but now that doesn't look as what you expected, right? You want to for him to be following him or something like that. Well, there's a few ways we could do that, and this is not the best way to do this. And there are some stuff that are called motion effects and can do this. So let me see. The motion effects can do lag. Here, if you right click on your object, let me see. Let me try this. I'm thinking in another way, but right now, right here, I could try doing this and see if it works. So I could try to say lag, motion effects, lag, but it doesn't allow me to choose an object. So this is not the way I want to do this. So let's go back here. The way I was thinking is I could just have this Roberto here, which is the guy that it's animating. And inside this Roberto, or let me just even do a new geometry object. There's a few ways this could be done, but this is one. I could call this Rob, and inside this, I'm gonna import that object merge, and I'm gonna say for this first object, just import whatever Roberto is doing, and I wanna transform into this object so it's moving. So this is importing that same animation, right? Now there are some timing nodes. You can, if you right click here on this output, see if in there are, there's not a timing section, but if you type time, you can see there's time blend, time shift, time warp, and some volume stuff. But let's do the time shift. Now the time shift, it's telling us, hey, look at that, we know that guy, that's our curve frame, right? We already know about him, and it's doing the same thing. So right now, if I click that, you can see it's just giving us the same frame. But what if we do something that we already learned as well? Just subtract this frame, let's say 5. Now, instead of I'm at frame 18, instead of 18, it's giving me 13. Now if I go back, you can see that now that guy is going behind the other one. It's not perfect. It's not just following in the same back because at the back because my animation's not perfect, but that's the way you can do it. So if you have different copies, you can make more of this and this will happen. Very cool. It's just lagging behind, and if I just see all objects here, you can just change this value for as long as or as little as I want here. Let's say 10. And there we go. And the other good thing here is that I don't have to link this guy to the other one. And I can just do whatever I want here with this Roberto. Maybe move it up. And the other one's gonna update. You can see it even updates here in the viewport while you are doing that. Okay, gonna go up, look up. Yay. And then goes down. And it's pretty happy. Put him looking down like this there. So it's going up, it's going down, and it's pretty happy. And the other one, the other Roberto, it's following him because it's cool. All right, that's cool, right? Okay, so now let's go for something else. This is pretty cool. What else can we animate? Let's go to this Roberto. And let's go inside him. Let's say I want to do a grid. You can see the grid has a certain amount of points, and I'm going to do a copy. And I'm going to copy Roberto's to each one of those points. All right, so Roberto, it's looking up. Let me just not use point attributes. I mean, yes, that one. That one. Come on. Supposed to be the eye. All right, so I'm copying Roberto's to each of those points on the grid, but I could do crazy stuff here. Like I can animate this value and do crazy stuff. Like let's say at frame 1 I have 2 and 2, and at frame 72 I have 20 and 20, and animate those. And now I have some crazy animation of Roberto being duplicated. That could be useful for something, of course. Maybe even if I just animate the one of those parameters. Let me say I don't animate this, or maybe the other one. I don't want to animate the rows. I want to have 5 rows, and it's just like, oh, I actually wanted the other way. Sorry. I want the columns to not change. Delete that one. You can see now I have like Roberto's being multiplied here. Could make an army of Robertos here. That's pretty cool. Alrighty. And you can, of course, you can animate. Still, you can animate this geometry. Do whatever you want with it. What other thing you could do here is just maybe add a mountain here. And this is very common. Let's say I'm gonna animate this value anymore. Let's just delete that one. Make the Robertos a little bit smaller. This is very common to do. You apply some noise to your geometry, and then you want it to not be static. You can move the offset, and you can see that's rippling. So if we use our friend $F, now have that, but that's too fast. So just multiply that by something smaller. Now you have something that's moving like water. Yes, you could do something like water with this, like that. Now if I go to the copy, you can see those copies are being animated by that. There's a bunch of Robertos swimming in the sea. Maybe fish, maybe something else. They are happy. Really, really happy. All right. So you can animate, as I said, any kind of attributes that you can think of. Let me see what else I have here in my notes. Of course, you can animate cameras as well. Let me do a camera here. Right click, clicking here, new camera. I have a camera there. There's some Robertos flying as well. You can see them flying there. Now if I lock my camera here, and I go to the first frame, I have my camera here. I can set keyframe from translate and rotation, and auto keyframe to just be, I'm just gonna start here like this, or maybe I'm gonna start far away and up, and then go to frame 120, and I'm gonna go close and over here and really close to my Robertos here. You can see now my camera, it's animated and it's doing that, and you can see I can lose a lot of my Robertos here. I can go here and reframe here. I don't want to lose my Robertos all the time. And there we go. You can see my Robertos are I want to move a keyframe here, I can shift click on it and then middle mouse to move it. I'm gonna put it over here. You can select two keyframes with shift and dragging. Select the camera, shift drag, and then middle click to move them. And now my movement is a little bit faster, and I just stay here. Very cool. You can do the same with lights, the same with any other object that has animated parameters, animatable parameters. So this is pretty simple to do animation for simple parameters. We saw a few tricks. We saw how to animate parameters like noise to do these jumping Robertos. And I don't know. Have anyone has any questions? Please ask them now so I can answer those. Another thing you can see here in the viewport, if you show this, it's not shown by default. You press D on the viewport or click this eye icon here. You can go to guides here and click this show time. And now it shows you the time here. And when you play, you can see there's playing in real time, 24 frames per second. If I remove this real-time playback here, I can see that it's playing way faster, as fast as my computer can do it, which in this case is about 60 or 70 frames per second. It's pretty cool. Maybe if we hide all the Robertos, it's gonna be faster. Yeah, that's faster, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good for a bunch of Robertos. I think it's like 100 of them there. See how much are there? 144. And this is way faster here. Around 20 frames here. What's slowing it down here? This is this guy. This is the slow one. There you go. That's pretty fast now. Okay, what else can we animate? There's no questions. No questions yet. So what else can we animate? Let's go. You can see if here this Roberto is being copied to all those points, we can still drop something here and rotate him here, like make him rotate as well. So maybe times 15. It's rotating. All those Robertos are rotating and jumping and being happy. You could make them each one different, but I'm not gonna do that now. Pretty cool stuff. So, all right, we saw how to animate objects, how to set keyframes, how to animate single and multiple parameters, how to set keyframes, auto keyframes, how to move stuff. I guess the last thing I could do here is maybe if you want to animate, I just moved my camera. Right, doesn't matter. I want to animate something like, let's say I want his nose to get bigger. Can select a point here. Can select at component level, and let's use a soft transform for this. See, now I have a transform right there, and I can move this guy. So it's a transform. It has a soft radius there. You can reduce, or let me just hide textures with this button here. See, the radius is there. I can stretch him. If I ignore connectivity, I can stretch this part that it's not connected. You can see this part, it's a separate part, and it ignores that if I don't have this checked. So what if I want him to receive a punch or something, like get punched in the nose. I can animate this like regular stuff here. Maybe rotate and turn it here. I didn't set a rotation keyframe at the beginning. You can see it's deforming the geometry. I'm just animating as simple as just selecting some geometry and selecting a radius and animating. This is pretty useful for character animation stuff when you wanna maybe fix some areas and stuff like that. This is like that, and it's looking pretty bad, but you can see you can do that stuff. You can even animate the soft radius here. I've done that for some tricks, like starting maybe at 0 like that, and here 1, and it's like sucking the geometry in that direction. So I've done that before for some effects. So alright, you can animate at object level, at component level, like this component level, and you can even animate components like this. And we saw how to use the animation editor, tweak those keyframes, those curves. I guess the only thing we didn't see was the dope sheet, which is here. We click here. This is just animation parameters in numbers, like a spreadsheet. If we go here, it's the dope sheet, and this is something that traditional animators use. So this is all the keyframes in this row are representing there are keyframes below it, which is the parameters here. So if I want to move this keyframe, I can just select it and move it here. Select it and move it. And if I want to move all these keyframes, like to retime this effect, I can just select them and move the first row, which is gonna move all the keys below. We can drag and select an area and then move that area. If you want to scale animation, if you want to scale this animation, you can select. Let me see if I shift. It's not working. Why it's not working? Shift select. I'm not sure. Okay, well, you can drag and select, and then you can move them. Region tool. Oh, there's this new region tool. Just to click and drag. Now you have to use the region tool, and now you can scale these guys with middle clicking on that. On the end, you can scale the keyframes to make them faster or lower. And this is the ripple tool, which I've never used before. Very cool. It's just moving the keyframes back or forward from the point that you are selecting. And Houdini crashed. How about that? Well, I guess that's gonna be it, guys. Don't don't undo when you're using the ripple tool, I guess. All right, so that's it. We didn't crash. I'm gonna crash as well, and there's no questions. So I guess I'm a pretty excellent teacher, educator, mentor, and you are perfect apprentices, and we are all amazing. So thank you guys for being here. If you watch this after the recording, please visit Mix Training for more training. Like the YouTube page, the YouTube channel, so you don't miss any any of our content. Please share with your friends if you like this. If you really like this, go to Mix Training, and so we're gonna have training for sale. And please, if this is helped you in some way, buy something from us. And that's it. Thank you. mixtrn.com. See you guys later. Cheers.